So somewhere along the line, I would like definitely to have a paper on that. Though of course he disagreed.
While you were mentioning the pro-chancellor, pro-vice chancellor, he just mentioned, and he's very right. He says we should have a component of ethics and law.
Law also.
Yes,
that is what will take care of your very well. You put across your idea very well.
So that is one thing which I would like definitely to do there. Now coming to the lab work. Coming to all those lab work which we are taking place, let the lab in this particular case be a village. I'll go by your suggestion or a suggestion that came from you. Let a lab work, let a laboratory be a particular village. You can definitely find a village in the nearby setup, Or maybe, to different groups who use 30, you can have a group of 3 each. Maybe we can pick up 10 different setups. But those laboratories should not be limited only to these 4 walls. Laboratories should be somewhere in the real farmhouses, real typical people. Today there is something called corporate social responsibility also. 3% these companies have to give in, So in case if we can have that, we can just somewhere combine that. Please do that. So the laboratories should be real-time working scenarios where the farmers stand. So his ideas can all that, be combined into that. Now, as far as all this thing which is there, besides ethics and all, the foundation should not be ignored. According to him, the foundations, are something, which these students, the ones who come, is already having a foundation. You can have bridge courses, you can have all that. And then further have all add-ons, have microfinance, but as optional paper. Have optional paper in the 3rd semester. 4th semester should be towards dissertation. Dissertation, really working in the industry, really working in agriculture.
If I can just interrupt you, don't you think that microfinance is something which is at the root of everything?
No, that's what he said. No, he's also made a presentation. I'm not touching that. No, what I'm saying is I'm not adding into that, but that's only been discussed and come to a conclusion.
So it need not be a specialized paper, it can be one of the basic...
It can be, it can be global agriculture business.
It's essential then.
Exactly.
Agriculture business, a paper on that also should be there. Somewhere how the agriculture business should also be there.
In fact, I was just mentioning it to him. The government of India is coming with a legislation on microfinance and money lenders. Yeah. Pretty soon, maybe.
No, I think his paper is exactly prepared the slides for the course content. If you want, I noted down all those things. Anyway, the presentation is in the laptop.
Yes.
So there. He very nicely, because I think when Pratibha, when she talks about it, she will be talking about 22 services which the government is going to come now. So how the students can get benefit out of that. See, he talked about very nicely, he said agricultural finance architecture. So, which is, credit, non-credit inputs, and credit loans, equity, debentures, bonds, infrastructure, state credit, district credit, block level credit plan, NABARD, SIDBI, commercial banks, cooperative, RRB, MIFIS, microfinance institutions, direct financing, indirect financing, RDF, rural, investment, development, infrastructure development. I think he has put all these things in a nutshell. If a student who is exposed to this aspect, maybe even in one semester, I think his vision gets broadened. That this is gets into that. He gets into the corporate mode once he gets into that one. I think it's a good point that let us put it. It is a fundamental to. We'll also make it as a basic course for that.
And now, as far as there are 2 more courses which I felt that were just not there. Remote sensing you mentioned. Geographic information system also you mentioned, which would be there. I'll also say, maybe that, with the PDAs and GPS, you've not mentioned GPS, though you may say it is included there. You may say that it is a part of, either in GIS or in remote sensing. I say
as a technology, let us make it separately.
Because that's a technology which is actually going to make a difference to every spatial tool which anybody would be using. We are actually making use of all those geospatial, all those cardinal points and all that. To some level, cartography.
Cloud virtualization also
yes,
can...
No, that is included in the computers.
That's something which I felt is very, very important, and that should be definitely a part of it, when we're teaching. But again, in GIS and remote sensing, I think so he would agree with me, because he's one of that, Because in GIS and remote sensing also, the samples which we'll be using, all those, it is difficult. Today, out here, we all may say Cartosat data, 0.6 meter resolution. Cartosat 1, Cartosat 2 is so easy to get. We have best of the best, But when it comes to getting the data, when it comes to even for the academic researcher, I'll give you my own example I like to share here. When I was a student, a PhD student, I worked on Bhagirathi Basin. I've surveyed around 1,200 odd villages. And I was wanting to have river gauge data. To get a topographic sheet is a different story altogether. I'll not go into that. That we all have suffered, when we, oh no, I'm sorry, you've not suffered, but they're from the government department. Everything is given to them just, right straight with no difficulty. It's poor academicians who have a lot of academicians, a formal academician, but a farmer will have great difficulty in getting data. So the population of the data is a problem. But I applied for river gauge data. So I get a letter, I applied, getting it signed from my supervisor. They said, no, you can't get a data. Letter coming after 2 months. You can't get a letter, you can't get a data because you've not got it signed from a vice chancellor. All right. So got it signed from a vice chancellor and again sent a letter. They said, no, you can't get a data. Again after 2 months, so another delay. You can't get a data because vice chancellor's salary is not equivalent to chief engineer's salary. So you can't get it. All right, so then you have to find a friend, somewhere, like luckily